Darling, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Yes, but it's a positive thing, Paul. The highlight, the Shy Life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious.
This particular episode of the Shy Life is a little more abstract than usual. Okay, looks like the hairy guy is ready to record. 3, 2, 1.
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. I think he has.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. Oh, it's looking spooky out there, isn't it? Yeah, it's a very spooky time of year, as I'm sure you know. You're probably experiencing it. You know, you probably either got spooky things in your house, or your neighbours have, or you've got kids turning up in your doors dressed as ghosts. And well, yes, I mean, it is that time of year. It is Halloween, which is one of my favourite times of year. Although, compared to a lot of podcasters I know, and a lot of people I know, well, you know, considering how much I like Halloween, I don't really do the decorating side. I don't think, well, that's not true. I was going to say that we don't really do that much decoration over here in the UK, not compared to the States, but we do. I mean, we don't, but people do. But not, I still don't think they do it to you know, when you hear Big Fatty on his show talking about how many houses around where he lives are just besieged by Halloween decorations, it just, yeah. I mean, I have had friends who've lived in certain areas where it does seem very popular, but I wouldn't say it happens much at all around where I live. But still, this episode is going to be our Halloween episode for 2021. And, you know, we're going to provide you with a suitable amount of Halloween excitement. So anyway, I've waffled on far too long. It's time to run the theme music. So yes, let's run that theme music. And when we come back, we'll get all Halloweeny. Yes, we will.
It's time for my old buddy, old pal from across the channel, across the pond, Paul Chandler, the Shy Yeti.
He's not that shy. Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast. Yeah.
All I wanted was a pie.
And then I hatched out of an egg. Jay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
Blimey, Governor. It's the Shy Life podcast.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life podcast.
He's positively glowing.
It's all gooey and meaty. Yum, 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 yum.
Well, hello listeners, we're back again. And we have a number of special guests this episode. We actually have Jay the Haunt Cub here in the studio with us. But, Jay, sorry, he's just making the shh. He's just putting his finger to his mouth. Jay, what are you doing? Sorry, we're being shushed by Jay the Haunt Cub. Apparently he's counting ghosts or something. I don't know if they've escaped or something. Anyway, Jay, how many ghosts have you seen today?
500.
Sorry, he's counting.
501. 502.
Okay, that's quite a lot.
503.
All right.
504.
Okay, yeah, sure. Sorry. We'll get back to him later. He'll speak to us later on, I'm sure. Right, what's going on now? What have we got for you this episode? Well, I'm hoping we'll have some scary Sutton Park clips, maybe a sort of beastly poem or two. We've got Toppy Smelly. We've got my mum. We've also got the regulars who are heading out to explore a local churchyard to see if they can find any ghosts. Well, I mean, I don't know why they're doing that, because, I mean, considering that Jay the Haunt Cub is here and he's counting them, maybe it's not just ghosts he's counting. I don't know what he's counting. Maybe he's counting the sweets from the trick-or-treating he's been doing. Jay, are those sweets? Shh. Sorry, Jay. Sorry. Right, yes. So, what first? Well, I think we should start off by talking to Toppy Smelly, because I spoke to him not so many days ago. I'd found this website which had all sorts of Halloween beasties that I just never heard of before at all. They're kind of all new to me. And we've done this before, this sort of thing, particularly with the Chatterbox crowd, and with Troby and Lisa, and maybe with Martin, I can't remember now. But anyway, this was completely new. New beasties that I've never heard of from all over the world. Have a listen to this. Hey, Toppy, it's me, Paul. How are you doing?
Oh, hey, Paul. I'm good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. It's our Halloween episode, and I couldn't do something for Halloween without involving you. And I've got just the thing.
Oh, thank you. What are we doing?
Well, I've got a list of, it's supposed to be the 13, it says 13 bizarre mythical monsters to haunt your Halloween. We've done stuff like this before, but I was looking through the list, and it's completely different monsters than I've heard for, because I have done mythical beasties before, but I don't recognise any of these ones. So I wondered
interesting.
if you've heard of any of these. So let me see. They're supposed to be, I guess, they're traditional Halloween creatures, perhaps in different parts of the world. One of them is called an adlet. It says Inuit by it. I guess it may be sort of known in that sort of community.
Like Inuit is the name of some original people in the Canada, I think, way up north.
Yeah,
I think.
It says that an adler is a human-dog hybrid with dog's legs and a human body. They were born to a woman that mated with a dog, according to a collection of Inuit tales and songs published in 1889 in the Journal of American Folklore.
It
says the adlet had human bodies with hairy dog's legs, and they killed and ate their grandfather. They all had the same grandfather, I don't know, after he murdered their canine father, according to the legend. Dear oh dear, this is quite one to start with. Deals, please hide your ears.
Yeah, this is some serious stuff here.
That's all it says, and there's a. It looks a bit. The drawing looks a bit like a bat, but I think it's supposed to be like a wolfy thing. But
now, is it antler, like spelled like ANTLER? Antler?
No, it's ADLET. So adlet.
Oh, adlet. Huh. No, certainly have never heard of that one.
Never heard of it. The next one I've got is from India. It's again, apologies for the pronunciation, the Asheri, but it's spelled ACHERI. So I'm not quite sure how it's. It is an unnerving childlike phantom, which originates in Hindu
those are the
folklore.
worst. Those are the worst.
They originated in Hindu folklore in northern India, although apparently it also appears as a Native American myth among the Chippewa people, according to the Encyclopedia of Spirits and Ghosts in Modern Mythology.
What's the deal with this baby?
It's the ghost of a young girl who died under tragic circumstances. She returns from beyond the grave, descending from the mountains after dark to bring sickness to children and the elderly. But when its shadow falls upon its victims, they fall ill with a deadly respiratory disease. It sounds very topical at the moment. Again, this list is quite. It's just full of ones that I've never heard of. And the one that follows it is from Scotland, and I've never heard of that either. It's called the Nucky larvae. That might be said with some sort of strong Scottish accent, but it's spelled Nuckelavee. So it's a weird looking word. The Scottish Nuckelavee is a skinless centaur with a snout like a pig's that expels gusts of steam, a single enormous eye, and arms that drag upon the ground.
Skinless? Do you mean like when we look at it, muscles are exposed?
Yeah, but that's sort of how it looks in the picture. Apparently, it lives in the ocean and can kill people by breathing on them, leading them to waste away and eventually die. Maybe that's what the Loch Ness monster is. Maybe it's a nuckelavee. A very big one.
So are they? Yeah. What's the size of this creature?
Well, I guess a centaur is like usually.
Oh, like a horse.
Like a horsey sort of size. So, yeah. But actually, I saw something. Obviously, we do have connections with the real Nessie on this show. But I saw that again. It's a story that never goes away. I never actually read the whole article, but again. Just in the last week, there was more photos supposedly of Nessie, and I know it's not our Nessie because our Nessie travels about and keeps away from Loch Ness these days. But it's
he may have flippers, but he can manage on land.
Yeah, well, there's all these underground,
that's right,
underground rivers and all sorts. So they can, it's like the underwater motorway for Loch Ness monsters. But. And also a bit like Ick, if Nessie puts on a hat and maybe a bulky coat, then people don't. They just don't see him, or they just kind of there goes somebody. The next one I've got is from Sweden. It's called the Gulon, Gulon. It's a fearsome legendary animal with the head and ears of a cat, the body of a lion, and the tail of a fox. This dates back to 1555. It appears in a book called A Description of the Northern People, and it's an exhaustive account of the folklore and history of Nordic countries, written by Olaus Magnus in 1555. And the Gulon gorges itself on carrion until it's grossly distended, then squeezes itself between two trees to make room for more.
Well, that's a novel idea.
There's actually a picture. I don't know if it's from this book, of this thing between two trees, and it looks like it's. I'm only telling you what I'm looking in this picture, but. Squeezing between the two trees forces it to poo, and then it gives itself more room. And in this picture, there's little poops coming out its back. I just don't know when this picture was drawn. If it was drawn in 1555 or
make that the show art.
Yeah. That's all. I don't know if it's how recent. I don't know how recently it's been cited, but
interesting.
The next one now is this. Trying to see if it's Japanese. It's called. It's very easy to mispronounce this one. The Futakuchiona or Honor. It's FUTAKUCHI-ONNA.
Oh, good Lord! You've lost me already. Yeah. Even spelling it, wow.
Futakuchiona. And this one is an eerie creature which looks like an ordinary woman, but has a ravenous second mouth on the back of her head. It's hidden by her hair. The mouth is insatiable. It gorges on any food it can find, fed by animated strands of the woman's hair. And usually appears as a punishment. It does sound like some of those, those Japanese horror films. They always have. It's always women with long hair that get involved.
Yeah, what's up with that?
It's It usually appears as a punishment afflicting people who are extremely greedy or stingy, according to a database of Japanese ghosts and monsters.
Interesting. That's creepy. That's the creepiest one yet.
The next one is, well, it's either Indian or African or maybe both. It's called the Rompo. It looks like, well, maybe it'll describe.
It sounds fun. I wouldn't. Oh, it's my little Rompo.
Well, the scavenging Rompo survives by eating human corpses.
Oh.
According to legends that originated in India and across Africa, it's relatively small, measuring approximately 3 feet, 1 meter long, with the front legs of a badger, the back legs and rear of a bear, the head of a hare, which is like a rabbit, and the ears of a person, topped with a luxurious horse's mane. It's like a right old mixture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any stories about what it's done or when it was last seen, but it was mentioned in the Encyclopedia of Beasts and Monsters in Myth, Legend and Folklore from 2016. But it's a right old mixture, though. Badger's feet and the head. I mean, in the photo, it's not a photo. In the drawing, it looks it all fits together quite well. But a hare is a tiny little rabbit, and I don't think it would fit on the body of a bear, but it would be as tiny. So I think, yeah. The next one is from. This is a bit different. It's called Fin Folk, Fin Folk, in the Orkney Isles, an archipelago off northeastern Scotland, on the northeastern coast of Scotland. People once whispered of the Fin Folk, a tribe of, I suppose once in a sort of long time, once. We used to talk about this. A tribe of sorcerers, these Fin Folk, they were a tribe of sorcerers and shapeshifters who were skilled at boating and who could bend the ocean to their will. This sounds quite ambitious. Fin Folk could live underwater or on land, though their permanent home was usually described as a marvelous city at the bottom of the ocean, and they would venture into towns and villages to steal humans as husbands or wives, according to a website about Orkney history and folklore. Sounds quite ambitious. Bending the ocean.
Water wizards.
Yeah. Shape changes. Now this next one is Dutch folklore, and they're called something like Bokken riders. And he says little is known about them. Well, why have them on this website? There's little is known about them. No, there actually is quite a lot about them. Little is known about these figures from Dutch folklore, who called the name of the devil to summon flying goats that they would ride through the air to practice untold acts of mischief. The name goat riders in Dutch was applied in the 18th century to bands of robbers that wild rumours described as terrifying flying goat riders of legend. Deals, do you know about this? Deals, I'm trying to read. Men suspected of being Bokken riders were tortured and executed with accusations condemning 31 people from a single town.
Now wait a minute. Let's back up here. Is that part of the legend folklore, or is it documented that people really were killed because of belief in this?
The men suspected of being Bokken riders were tortured and executed with accusations condemning 31 people from the same town in Belgium between 1744 and 1776. Belgian website Flanders Today reports.
It's like, we all know about the witch trials and murders along those lines. That's the first. I other than you're a witch, so we're gonna torture you, and so you confess. I haven't heard of. I haven't heard of any other cryptid or resulting in people like actually doing that.
One or two more. And this is quite good, this website, because we are getting to. Maybe this is why we haven't heard about some of them, because they're all from different countries. I'm not quite sure. how many of these would turn up at Halloween, but there's still an interesting, scary bunch of beasties. The next one I feel like I have heard of, but it's Australian, so I may have heard it mentioned. The bunyip. Definitely heard of the bunyip.
Where is this from again?
Australia.
Australia.
And it's an Aboriginal legend. So I've probably heard it mentioned. Swamps, rivers, and shallow inland waters across Australia are rumoured to be the home of the bunyip, a lanky, green-furred, razor-clawed creature, about twice the size of the average man, with webbed hands and feet like a duck. This was reported on ABC Riverland news agency in 2007. Children were warned against playing too close to the water's edge, lest the bunyip catch them and drag them under to drown.
That's interesting.
And I think the last one we have is called the Kumiho, Kumiho, and this is a Korean one. It's in Korean mythology. The Kumiho is a malevolent demon foxwoman with 9 tails. It's a man-eater, both literally and figuratively. She's a killer with a
foxwoman, like maybe like a werewolf, but she's a werefox.
Yeah.
Is that what that you think?
Like that. She is a killer with a voracious sexual appetite. She often consumes her conquests. There we go, listeners. I think possibly we should hand over now to the regulars who are out there doing some spooky things. They're going to be giving us a few reports, I think, throughout the episode. So we'll hand over to them. They're actually exploring the church right next door to where I grew up in Yeti Manors. Yeah. It's quite possible that they'll find something spooky. Who knows? Let's hope so.
Well, it's me, Martin, by the way. We're in the churchyard. We're trying to make contact with anything that might want to say hello during this special Halloween episode of the Shy Life podcast. Cromitty thinks that they might have moved out of the country into the town. Is that true, Cromitty?
Well, it is a possibility. You know, some ghosts and things, they get kind of fed up of living in the countryside because the amenities are poor, and they crave for the city and for a more exciting life, and so they leave.
I didn't actually realise that ghosts were movable, as it were. I thought they were sort of tied into where they were based originally.
You mean where they died? Well, that is an old wives' tale.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Then we'll keep looking. We'll keep searching.
Well, there we go, listeners. Jay, are you going to let us know what you're counting? Is it ghosts? Is it sweets? Well, have I got the wrong end of the stick? What's going on?
505.
Jay?
506.
Still counting.
507. 508.
Jay, what is it you're counting?
509. Shh.
I'm sorry. I'm confused now. I can't see. He's counting something into a box. Yeah, it must be something spooky, surely. I mean, he is Jay the Haunt Club. But I wonder, it's a mystery. Right, I think I'm going to read you a spooky poem. I don't know if it's spooky or whether it's just beastly. It's from my collection, Shriek Goes Wild. There's you may have heard some of these before. I'm going to try and pick one which is yes, this one. This could be a beastly poem. The Black-Eyed Growl, it's called. The black-eyed growl is a terrible foe. The black-eyed growl bites his claws, don't you know? He is grumpy and scritchy and snaps if he's crossed, and loves to buy scratch cards, no matter the cost. His bell-bottom flares drag along on the floor. He likes to chew babies, especially when raw. The old black-eyed growl is a candy-dazed fool. Did you know when he bathes that he does so in drool? The black-eyed growl is the size of a house, yet the poor black-eyed growl's petrified of a mouse. His musical taste is the muzak on phones, or the clunkety-clunk of bare skeleton bones. He can't dance, he won't write, no, not even a check, and he won't kiss his wife, no, not even a peck. What the growl finds hysterical, others simply find crass. The beast, to be honest, is a pain, he's an ass. The black-eyed growl loves inciting a rabble. The black-eyed growl, too, is a master at Scrabble. He likes nattering and knitting and watching the news. His neighbours retreat from the niff of his shoes. His one beautiful dream is to sing as a tenor, as the words, bad and worse, on his knuckles in henna. Oh, the sad black-eyed growl has no friends, so to speak. Even his inflatable elk has developed a leak. The black-eyed growl has a secretive side. Yes, he likes feeding ducks, and he does so with pride. He helps squirrels cross roads, and he always shares pies. Recycled loo rolls is the kind that he buys. Has no interest in smut, and in no way is he seedy. He will always say thanks, opens doors for the needy. Always flosses his fangs, always comes when they call. Well, perhaps that old growl's not so bad after all. There we go. The black-eyed growl. Well, I think that it's probably time now for a spooky Sutton Park clip. I hope I can find one. I mean, there are plenty of them, or if not spooky, then certainly scary or menacing or whatever. But I will do my best to make sure that we find something. I mean, we're usually in some sort of dilemma in Sutton Park, so have a listen to this.
Hello, I'm here. Oh, hello, how are you? Yes, here I am in Canterbury. Yes, been to the meeting, but whilst I'm here, the meeting was this afternoon. It was just business, nothing special. But the accommodation is nice, and actually the room is. I'm here now until for the rest of the weekend, because I said to the people at work. I mean, this is before I knew that Katrina, or this business with Katrina. I said to them that, if I went to the meeting, I may as well stay up here as well for the weekend. So I paid extra for the room. Well, I do feel bad about. Yes, I do. I feel very bad. But there you go. No, I do feel bad about leaving. Yes, for leaving thingy. Yes, them Crispin and everybody. This is my room anyway. I'm actually, as I got tomorrow free, I thought I might go to Leeds Castle, but it depends on the weather. It's not in Leeds, it's just down the road. Yes, as I said, I'm in Canterbury. I'm actually staying University of Canterbury, some accommodation that they've got, which they have for visitors. Big and breakfasts around here are quite expensive, and when people can't be here for business, they tend to stay at the university. I'll probably show you a bit more as time moves on. Yes. One thing which has come to mind whilst I've been here is that. Do you remember my friend Paul Hillier? Yes, turned traitor and all that. Working for the park. Old friend of mine, yes. Well, this is actually the university where he was going to university at. I mean, I haven't seen him for a while. I mean, we sort of drifted apart really because of the park. I mean, he never knew that I knew that he worked for the park, and he just sort of, we sort of haven't seen each other for a while. Anyway, this is actually the university he's at, so I'm not sure. He might be around, but who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's about it for now. As I said, I'll probably go into the castle, to my Leeds castle. Bit of nice views. As I said, I feel bad about this now because I mean I could go home, but this business do. Even though the meeting's finished, there's a bit of social stuff going on, and I'm supposed to be representing the company to do tonight. There's a meal that I got to go to tonight, and there's another meal tomorrow night. It's all, guests from other countries, and it's just too long a story. But the meeting has finished, but I can't go back anyway. But as I say, all tomorrow I've got free, but it's the evening I've got to stay for, and I'll go back on Sunday. But, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Right.
Time passes. Next morning, very early though, Paul finds disturbances.
What? Hey? Did you hear? I had someone knocking at the door. But who it is? Shall I open it? You don't think Paul Hillier knows I'm here, do you? Hello? Hello? Who is it? Shall I open the door? I don't know. I suppose I better do. What is it? It could be a fire or something. But who is it? Gosh, what time is it? 3 o'clock in the morning. Could be just someone coming back from a party. They might have gone actually. Hello? No, I think they've gone. They're trying to... It's a thief. It must be a thief trying to get in. I can't see. Can't see who it is. What do I do? Do I open the door? Or what? The sound seems to have gone now. I've been waiting for about 5 minutes and the person seems to have passed on. Passed on. Not passed on. I can't. I'm going to have to open the door. It's a stupid thing to do, I know, but I'm stupid anyway. Got to find out what's going on. Could be someone drunk and collapsed outside. I said it could be some sort of... It could be a fire. No alarms. Alarms couldn't be not working or something. Oh dear. Okay, I've got my camera so that no one... No sign of anybody. There's no sign of anyone. It's my imagination, probably. Although there definitely was someone. No, there was nobody. They'd gone if it was anyone anyway. It's me being all jumpy. Careful, I'll end up waking the whole place up. I should be safe now. Anyway. Oh my God. Who's that? Oh my God. I left the door open and they came in. I could see a figure. Who is it?
It is just me. Sorry I scare you. I did not want to wake the place by talking loudly in corridor it echo.
The maudlin mummy. Hello. What are you doing here? Oh, good grief, you nearly scared me after death. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, don't you know it? Oh, goodness me. What are you doing here? How did you find me?
Me clever, me find you. No problem, you know. I always find you. I have friend for you.
Huh? What do you mean?
I have someone who has been looking for you. He hurt. He could not contact you. Here, look.
It's Barry.
Yes, Barry, he hurt.
Oh, Barry. Oh, how out of the way. Barry, how are you? Oh, it's just... What? Oh, your wing's not too good. Oh, what happened? How did you find him?
It's long story. I'll tell you now.
I think it's probably a good time now to hand over to Cromitty and the others in the churchyard to see if they found anything spooky. That's here we go.
Hello again, Martin here. Just approaching the front of the church. I don't think we can get in there, but the actual church. But we can push the door, and so we're in the front of the church now. As we suspected, it's not possible to enter the church on this occasion, although I believe the key can be borrowed. Oh, Cromitty's here. Cromitty?
Martin, no, we can't go inside, but we can sit here in the porch. But I'm afraid my news is not good. It rather does seem that, there's very few people here. Well, when I say people, I mean spirits. As I say, I think they have probably moved away. This church still gets used and is still visited and kept up, but it does not have the sort of traffic it used to. And, as I say, many spirits, they want the bright lights of the city. They want to be able to go to the theatre, maybe even take a part-time job. There's not a lot around here to do. And I think also in a smaller town or a smaller village, you'll be noticed if you turn up at a village fete or pop your head around the door of the local pub, or even, attend a local church service. You will be the centre of attention, and that's not always what some ghosts want.
Oh, right, I see. I didn't quite understand, because you said they wanted the bright lights and all that.
Well, yes, but that's quite different, Martin. You see, a ghost in a small town or village who might quickly be noticed or recognised even, that's quite different from a ghost that perhaps goes to a city and can just blend in, and there are so many people that nobody would recognise them, and nobody would even realise they were a ghost if they were careful. A ghost can still go to the theatre, sit at the back. It just has to be a lot more careful, but they can have a lot of fun. But it is a lot more. It's a lot more difficult if you stay where you came from.
Fascinating commentary. I'm learning so much.
Yes, well, I think we better pass back to Paul. Yes, I don't think we're having the success that he might have hoped for, but still, it has been interesting.
Oh yeah, very interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Oh dear. Yes, they're not doing too well, are they? Never mind. Jay, any news for us? What is it you're counting?
510, big boy. 511. 512.
Maybe he's
513.
Maybe he's just calling the local Chinese restaurant or something.
515.
You know how the Chinese menu has numbers attached to it. Although he's doing a very big order. Jay, get me a spring roll or two, will you please? Shh. Oh, sorry. He's in a funny mood. He's in a funny mood this episode. We don't speak to him for ages, and then when he does, he comes here and starts counting. What is he doing? What's he up to? Oh well. So you heard from Toppy. You heard from the regulars. More to come. You kind of heard from Jay. We've had a poem. We've had Sutton Park. I think you've not heard from my mum. That's what we've got next. Now, Mum isn't like a super horror fan, but I think I say that at the start anyway, so I won't repeat myself. Well, I already have, but anyway, it's a little chat with my mum about all things spooky, sort of, that she at least likes a bit. Anyway, okay. Hi listeners, as you know, this is our Halloween episode, so Mum is here. She's not like a massive horror fan, but I think she does she's quite gory, and she likes thrillers and things where there were dead bodies, so I think she's more horrible than she thinks she is. No, that's not right. Anyway, I can't think of how to say it. I think you do like more scary things than you realise, I think.
But when you say scary, I'm not really into science fiction scary.
No, although you watch Doctor Who. You watch Doctor Who?
Yes, well, I'm not a great fan.
No, but you are to blame. You are to blame for me liking.
What was it? Murder on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, that's more like a teenage. That was made for teenagers, really.
Yes, you don't see anything. No, I suppose improbable beasties. I'm not keen.
You wouldn't have gone to see a Hammer film in the 60s?
No.
But then horror or scare Halloween can mean vampires and werewolves and things, but it could also mean serial killers, and serial killers don't always have to be obvious. You read enough thrillers, you must have come across the odd serial killer in a thriller or in an episode of Taggart or something.
Yeah, I'm not very keen on the term thriller. I can't say they thrill me. I prefer a detective. It's ferreting out the perpetrator. I don't know why when you think about it, I don't know why they're called thrillers. Because they shouldn't thrill anybody. They should horrify them.
It's probably like, where does pot boilers come from? That doesn't get used very much these days.
Body strippers.
that just, you want your money back if you got your body stripped.
In my day in the library, it was Mills and Boone.
They're probably
Barbara Cartland.
Yeah, probably some horrible things happened in those books.
They all had very elegant names, Barbara Cartland, like Rose.
Yeah, but there must have
Jasmine.
There must have been some peril involved, or some horrible suitors that.
I never read any Barbara Cartner. I never read any Mills of Boone, except we used to read the last few pages when we were mending the books in the library, us youngsters.
I read some early Jackie Collins, and that was all gangsters, and not half as titillating as you're led to believe, but quite violent and quite horrible, or quite nasty characters. She could have been known for her violent gangster books as much as but maybe she got less.
Probably didn't sell as well as.
Maybe she got more. Maybe she got less violent and more
later on.
Glamorous later on. What about Hitchcock? Would you have seen a Hitchcock film?
Yes, I liked Hitchcock, though I was a bit. I could appreciate the plastic scenery, and I remember watching The Birds. Was there one called Rear Window?
Yeah, that's the one with James Stewart watching with the telescope, or the telescope.
I found that talking about films, The Servant with Dirk Bogarde.
Is that the Edward Fox one?
Yes,
yeah.
That's quite eerie in a way.
Yeah, well,
that's him taking over and being the master and subjugating the master.
That's sort of psychological thriller for one.
And I saw one. What's it? Rope, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Michael Caine.
Oh,
that's about as far. Again, if you.
That was Psycho. Did you see Psycho?
Yes, I saw Psycho. Yes. They're more psychological.
Yeah, but that's what I like.
Use that term.
That's what I like. That's why I like the Ruth Rendell, the psychological ones that she writes. I don't really like. I have to be in the right mood for detectives because they can slow things down. I guess because with the psychological ones, you often know who the person is, and you're getting to see them do. Whereas when you're the detective, you're missing out on all. You're just, oh look, there's a body. You don't necessarily see the build up, which the psychological ones.
What has led the person to.
Yeah, you get to see, or how close they are to being caught. Whereas from the other point of view, you don't. It depends, because I'm sure some of Ruth Rendell's, for instance, I'm sure she'd have a detective, but then you'd also get chapters written from the point of view of the. I think she probably plays around with the format.
Yeah, I mean, I have read some of Val McDermid, is it?
Yeah, I don't think I ever have.
I think she has good plots, but she's a bit over the top with her bad language sometimes, I think. It's not necessary.
If you had to meet a vampire, a werewolf, or a ghost, or what else is there? Which one would you most or least like to meet? The thing is, if you
pass on all of them.
if you met a vampire,
the ghost isn't going to hurt me. It might walk through me, and I might make me shiver. So I think I'll pick the ghost.
The vampire might come to your village and move into a house and be very when you're doing the paper round might be very charming, but
yes, but as soon as it becomes is it the full moon, a werewolf?
Werewolves, yeah. But
or if you just take a potion of medicine if you're Dr. Jekyll or Jekyll.
Because we're not religious people, have you ever had an experience that you would say is sort of ghostly, or do you just not believe in them at all, or what's your view? I mean, I'm interested in them, but I also know that it's probably not going to meet one. But
no, I don't think I give ghosts much room. Not to say that I don't like reading. I was interested in ghost stories when I was a teenager. Not stories, but people's anecdotes. But then that was more again that I didn't really believe that they were experiencing that. It was coming from them rather than... But on the other hand, there have been lots of instances when with poltergeists, for example, and you do begin to wonder then about kinetic energy, and but then that's getting to realms of fantasy again to me.
I've always felt the hills that side of the house. Sorry, listeners, you can't see which way I'm pointing. It doesn't matter anyway. But the hills on the right side from where we're sitting has always been quite spooky up there. Clearbury and particularly the Mismays. And there are stories of other people who've said they've seen things at the Mismays.
Yes, I think Clearbury. It's the. You can see the roads in the far distance, 2 miles away? But you are very isolated. I think and the Mismays again, I think it's the isolation that would make me feel that it was atmospheric.
And I think, when you're in the centre, suddenly the sounds are sort of muted as well. And I think up that used to be quite a major bridleway, didn't it, to like Salisbury to Bournemouth or Ringwood or whatever. And I think there were sort of highwaymen. I can't remember how much I read that is facts and how much I've embellished. But I think there was a hangman's place near the Mismays.
Yes, I don't know about that. I know when the main road was, they made it straighter, the road from Bournemouth through to Salisbury, Ringwood through to Salisbury, shall we say, and they had to stop and let the archaeologists in because it was obviously a burial site all along there. So although Clearbury to us is uninhabited and quite isolated, it wasn't, because it had a prominent place and presumably people lived there and they could see for miles around to make sure that they're not going to have problems with the neighbouring tribes.
It's very cut off up there, those other tracks, and there's things like Great Yews which are even further. Some of these places I don't even know you can...
Great Yews is if you use the term spooky, yes, but again it's because they are such big trunks, you can't see round them, and you can sink yourself into thinking, well, there could be somebody around that, behind that trunk. So again, I think it's more from.
I always liked woods when I was growing up. Well, I still do, but I don't know if that was partly because Grandma had those woods behind her house.
Woods with bird song's nice, but once I get into the more dense part of the woods, the outskirts of woods, when you've got the sound of the birds, but any woods can be quite solitary and silent, can't they, when they get into the thicker places, if they haven't got many grassy glades.
The woods behind Grandma had lots of little small paths going off, and I don't really...
Little pockets of heather and grass, didn't it, on the fringes?
Was the wood presumably, because they're quite big trees, what was it like when you were growing up with the woods behind? Did you ever...
They were beech trees, but what was strange, and I've never asked about it, but there was an avenue of fir trees somewhere in that wood amongst all the beech trees, and that avenue of trees must have been put in and was supposed to be leading to some biggish house, but I've no idea which or where it would have been.
Would you have gone in the woods, because they were public woods, weren't they?
There was public footpaths through them, yes. I mean, we used to get into them. Somebody had put up a sort of makeshift stile from the houses that bordered onto them, so we used to wander there. But from the road, you would have gone up a different way. But they didn't mind. I mean, it's the same with here. In the opposite direction from Clearbury, the Trafalgar House. They don't mind people. I don't think that's got a public right of way as such, but it tells you when it's when you've reached the formal grounds. It says private then.
There was always a path that or a couple of paths that I thought, or I'm pretty sure there were public footpath signs. But once or twice I did go up different tracks which I wasn't sure whether we were allowed to go. Because there's like a monolith just on the boundary of what you can then tell is not public or is not. And one of the films that we made when Danny and I hired our video camera in 1990, because it was a thing that we could sort of, like, we'd been searching to get to it, sort of thing. So I knew it was there, so we did go up there, but I always thought I wasn't sure that we were supposed to be going up that path compared to the other paths. But
probably not.
And then I used to explore that was kind of creepy. Again, I'm not sure we were supposed to, or I'm not sure which bits of it we were supposed to. There's the old railway line. That's but the way that I accessed it would have been behind Trafalgar House. That's it, and you could walk from. But again,
I think that was okay. I don't think.
But also, it was a bit sort of where do you get onto it and going down the stairs. I think it was just, and also there was sometimes I tried to do it where it was so grown over you couldn't do it. So, which made me think it probably wasn't that encouraged because. But that was quite spooky.
Yes.
There we go. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. We had to stop because my dad came home from playing golf and he'd fallen over a fence. So that's pretty scary, isn't it? I'll say no more, it just can't be explained. So we've got more from the regulars. Jay's still counting, but I'm not going to speak to him because it just leads to more trouble, doesn't it, really? I could read you another beastly poem, if I can find one in this collection. There's one about dragons. Why don't dragons clean their teeth? I probably read this one before, but dragons are pretty monstrous, aren't they? Why don't dragons clean their teeth? Why don't dragons clean their teeth? They are just so badly bred. They could all be sweetly smelling, but all have fiery breath instead. They will not floss their toothy pegs, nor comb their shiny tails. They refuse to go on diets, and will break the bathroom scales. They don't seem to care about themselves, and even less about their friends. Any pets it seems that dragons keep, all meet well tragic ends. Oh, why don't dragons clean their boots? They always look so shabby. They always seem to need a wash, and their tummies are all flabby. They're obsessed with being mean and with chasing armoured knights, or with stealing dumb princesses, though they'll vow they've still got rights. Yeah, still they'll make a quick kebab from any nincompoop who passes. Seems some dragons might well benefit from anger management classes. Why don't dragons chill a bit and stop being quite so fiery? Why don't they floss or clean their boots or keep an online diary? Why can't they just be slightly nice to those who do annoy 'em? Then perhaps knights wouldn't try to slay them all, and instead perhaps employ 'em. But it seems that's just the way they are, the growly dragon in its cave. It would rather just not have to brush and simply stink and misbehave. I don't know, dragons. How many dragons do you see at Halloween? Actually, funnily enough, I don't know whether they'll get to see it today, but I remember going in the church next door to my parents and being really excited and really kind of chuffed to find that there, in the stained glass windows, there was a dragon. A dragon. I can't remember if it was supposed to be like George and the Dragon, but I mean, I don't know how many dragons there are in the Bible. Probably not many. So I was quite impressed that there was a little dragon in the stained glass windows of the church. I don't know, maybe the guys will mention it, and we do need to go back and join them and see what they're up to. So let's do that now.
Hello here, listeners. We're, wouldn't say we're giving up our hunt, but nothing has been forthcoming. Although Compy's theories I find quite interesting, and it's just one of those things, I suppose. Not every ghost wants to stay where they were created, for want of a better phrase. Still, that's something I didn't know. So you do learn things, absolutely. It's weird though, I do get a sort of feeling that we're being watched, so perhaps we aren't completely without company. Prodigy, what do you think?
Well, you're right. I do sense a presence. So, as you say, maybe we've not been totally abandoned, but they may not want to make their presence known. But still, an interesting study, I think, of how these things work, and that, well, you may believe one thing, but you may learn that those beliefs are not exactly, following the line that you were taught. Yes. So, as usual, the Shy Life podcast is very educational.
It most certainly is, yes. It most certainly is. An education, to say the very least.
So I think it's time to hand back to Paul now. And yes, I've just got a chill down my spine. I think that perhaps it is time for us to go. Those who have remained here are quite keen for us to leave.
In that case, that's exactly what we'll do. Right, bye for now.
Yes, listeners, goodbye for now. We do have a couple more on the next page. And so I got overexcited. We've still got 3 more. But yeah, she sounds like a bit like a werefox who likes to eat.
With 9 tails.
9 tails, yeah. Now this one is, it looks either Indian or doesn't actually say, but there's a poster which I think involves the creature that they're talking about, and it definitely looks a bit like a Bollywood horror film or something. Yeah, doesn't actually say, but it's called the Layak, Leyak. Again, it's a woman. Oh no, I see. It's Bali. It's from Bali.
Huh.
Is that, it says here, is that strange woman who lives next door to you actually a vampiric witch? In Bali, the mythical blood-drinking Layak looks and acts like an ordinary person during the day. At night, however, it visits the graveyards to search for entrails. And if it can't find any there, it steals them from one of its sleeping neighbours. With the entrails, it makes a special potion that enables it to transform into a variety of terrifying shapes, including a monkey with golden teeth, a bald-headed giant, an enormous rat, or a riderless motorcycle. What?
Wait a minute. One of these things does not belong with the others.
Yeah. That's what's having us on. Apparently it appears in that Encyclopedia of Giants and Humanoids in Myth, Legend and Folklore from 2016. Riderless motorbike. Yeah. Okay. I mean, where does it get the gold for the monkey with golden teeth? Now, this penultimate one. This is Romanian. It's called the Zaburator. It starts with a Z. Zburator. Zaburator. It's a winged vampire-like creature whose name means the flying thing. It's a creature from Romanian mythology that resembles a handsome, dark-eyed and black-haired young man. Or it makes a change that it's a boy rather than a girl. Zaburators seduce young women and steal their life energy, draining their victims until they are pale, sickly wraiths. Again, according to that book from 2016. It's confusing because the picture looks like somebody slaying a dragon. So I don't know. I don't know where that comes into the story. But
it sounds like they couldn't find art for this, and somebody said, "Yeah, just stick that in there."
Now the last one is from the Philippines. It's the Manananggal. Sounds like somebody's making these up and not doing a very good job. It's spelled Manananggal. It's like when you're playing Scrabble. It's like you're trying to make a word out of letters that don't go together. But these terrifying flyers from Filipino folklore gain their name from the Tagalog word tanggal, which means to split. Generally depicted as female, the Manananggal hunts for blood and human flesh by sprouting wings and severing the upper half of its body. Sounds very dramatic. It flies with its entrails dragging along after it, sucking the blood of sleepers and feasting on the hearts of fetuses still in their mother's wombs, using a proboscis-like tongue.
Ooh.
Comes from a book about creatures of the Philippines from 1971. It's very dramatic. How does it all get back together if it split itself in half? How does it put itself back together in? Doesn't sound very practical. Maybe it's like a bee who loses its sting and then dies. I mean,
could be.
There's some quite bizarre. Well, it did say 13 bizarre mythical monsters, and
yeah, they fit the bill.
I hadn't heard of any of those before.
Yeah, my favorite is still the woman with the mouth in the back of her head. Yeah. Oh yeah, and her hair feeds her like.
Yes.
Oh God.
A bit like our friend the Gorgon with her snakes. Snakes made of hair. But
yeah. Which always confused me is, does that make Medusa a Gorgon?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think I made a mistake when I first started writing about Gorgons that I called them Medusas, and Medusa is that particular Gorgon's name. It's like if you were a Gorgon, but you'd still be called Toppy, and so Medusas.
Yeah.
just that particular one's name, but I got confused. So is in Pickle Hollow is your major spooky creature the giant gerbil? Is it a gerbil? No, hamster? Which one is it?
Which one is it? It's a killer gerbil. Well, the real cryptid in Pickle Hollow is called the Cuppachowda.
Oh yes.
But our fearless gerbil king has been mistaking the real life, killer gerbil for the Cuppachowda. He thinks it's the Cuppachowda of mythical, that's the legend around here. It's a giant rat-like rodent that terrorized Pickle Hollow area, for over, hundreds and hundreds of years. It goes back. He's... Anyways.
Around here, we just have Yeti Uncle John. That's all we can know. I wouldn't wish him on anybody, but bless him.
He's quite mythical.
Yes.
And cryptid. Let's see now. If you're cryptid, are you cryptorious? You're cryptolicious? Anyways.
Probably.
Why do you think that so many of these mythological creatures or creatures of lore, what is the deal with combining different animal parts on humans? Why just clearly different cultures, different parts of the world, but combining animal and human and seems to be a thing, and I'm trying to figure out now why would that be?
Even when some of the, like that one with the badger's front legs and but a tiny rabbit's head, I mean that wouldn't really fit on to. But then when you think about it, sometimes when you look at portraits of animals like that painters have done, and you've kind of got weirdly shaped cows, and you think, well, cows surely didn't look like. How come there are these weirdly shaped cows from like 300 years ago in these paintings? It probably all ties in with the different animals that are kind of like they have the head over this, the leg over the, even though it wouldn't really fit. The animals mentioned don't really have the same sort of shape or size to fit together.
All I can think of is that this is all about, these are all really about storytelling. And, obviously we're talking about a time before radio and television, and even books, where people told stories, and every generation it would maybe change a little as the next person came along and embellished it. But I can kind of see like a family sitting around in the near darkness or even dark with maybe a fireplace or anyways a candle, and the father is relating the story of one of these creatures, and the kid goes, Daddy, tell me what it looked like. Tell me what it looked like. What did it look like? And the father goes, it's it's got the feet of a rat. Yeah, that's it. And a tail of a tiger. Yeah, that's it. I can see how that all came around. But it is interesting.
And if you're telling a child, they wouldn't necessarily know, but particularly years ago, they wouldn't necessarily know quite what a badger looked like, or what or quite, they wouldn't know the proportions, and then go, well, that's not going to work, is it?
Yeah.
And I can see the ones that are by the sea, or you could understand how that could be like sort of myth and legend of what's out there beyond the island. And
oh, for sure, yeah, that's another part of it. And also, they were used to explain things, like the creature that, what did it do? It sucked the air out of babies or something, and those sorts of things would really be used to explain why a baby died, or what is it? The incubus? No, it's another more we hear more about. It's a creature that sits on the chest of people at night and causes them to suffocate. I think that legend is also about cats. Somehow it involves cats. Cats sit on babies and suffocate them. So they're used to explain the unknown. And it's, clearly all about storytelling too. But I think ways of, like the one in Australia, where it's like, don't go close to the ocean there or the river because you'll drown. But it's like, to really drive the point home, no, this thing will drag you. This monster will drag you into the water and drown you.
The Aborigines have all sorts of there's the whole dreaming thing, and the whole there's so many, like, so much folklore amongst in the Aboriginal community.
I once, when I was in elementary school, had a friend who was from Hawaii, and he was telling me about some of the things in Hawaii. And naturally, they're one of the big, not producers, but one of the things heavily involved are volcanoes. But also, apparently, this kind of little people, they don't call them elves or dwarves, or they've got another name for it, but they're little people that cause a little mischief and stuff. And he was telling me about them, and I kept saying, his name was Jeff. I said, Jeff, now are these real things? Are you telling me like how we, view gnomes? They're mythical. They're not real. And he believed in them. I mean, it wasn't a story. And he believed in the volcano gods. I mean, it wasn't just and apparently that's a thing. So that's interesting.
It sounds like you're about to be attacked by a giant bird as well.
I couldn't tell if that was crows in your... Yeah, that was a blue jay. My window's open. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just don't want you to be whisked off by a giant wiggle creature or whatever. I don't know. I think it's a stupid name for it.
The other thing that's interesting to me is that even today, there are people who will just tell you for a fact that they believe in the New Jersey Devil, or the Chupacabra, or the Mothman. I mean, it's just, there's no question about it to them. It's like, yeah, I've seen it, or whatever. But it's interesting that even today, this sort of thing, these legends or folklore, they're still being created right up to now.
It's our friend Nessie I feel most sorry for, having to live with people kind of, but if he went and did a press announcement, everyone would be like, I can't see it, I can't see him, it's not that he's not there. It's very difficult.
I heard a podcast on this one, because everything I've learned is from a podcast. But this is a great story. I can't remember where I found it or heard about it. But there was this legend, I'm just going to say in America's West, when the West was becoming the West and being settled, and it was the Wild West, there was one of these cryptid things that came up that people swore was true. I mean, there's written accounts of this thing that did this, and it was this creature that they couldn't explain, and it had this weird shape, and they said like the head of a dog or this or that, and it became folklore, and there were people that I saw this damn thing, and you know what it turned out to be? It was a kangaroo, and nobody had ever seen it. And I don't remember the story explains how the kangaroo got there, but it was this was one that somehow it was eventually caught, and it was a kangaroo. But I think the legends around that, just spread, and there's people that still think, tell the story of this creature, and anyways, it's fascinating.
Well, Toppy, I hope you have a good Halloween, and there isn't anything too scary that shows up on the day.
I've got the tin cans dangling around the outside of the chicken coop apartment in case the Capuchata, he'll, if they rattle, I know he's out there.
Yeah, well, look after yourself. And
all right, you too.
I'll speak to you again soon.
Watch out for weird flying things made out of different animal parts.
Yes.
Bye.
Weird, John. Well, either the same. It's all the same.
Hello listeners, it is me, Robot Cuthbert. I just wanted to wish you all a very spooky Halloween. We hope you enjoyed the rest of Paul's chat with Top P. Smelly. Before we continue to the end of the show, we have an exclusive tune called Measure of a Man, which has been composed by our good friend Harry F. When Paul heard it, he thought it had a definite hint of autumn about it. See what you think. Anyway, we all liked it a lot and wanted to share it with you now. Enjoy! Exclamation.
Well, there you go. There you go, listeners. I'm not sure it's been the most successful Halloween episode ever, but we've talked about some beasts. We've had some poems about some beasts, even if they weren't really Halloweeny beasts. We've talked to my mum about scary things. And Jay, are you going to talk to us now? I've got a poem I wanted to read before we go. Jay.
520.
Still counting. Did you get my string rolls? He's not answering. He's in a funny mood, I'll tell you. Really funny. Well, I'm going to read a poem about a spider.
524.
So let Aragog know.
520.
Spider's called Colin.
526.
He likes custard.
500.
Not even a slight reaction.
500.
I don't know. I don't know what he's up to. Let me read you this poem and then we're going to have to go. Colin the custard-eating spider. Colin's a spider who likes to consume as he sways on his web in some dusty old room. He does not like prunes and he cannot stand mustard, but what Colin adores is a bowl of cold custard. He will not eat peaches and he can't abide cream, and he doesn't think cakes are as nice as they seem. No, he won't lick the bowl for just any dessert. No, it is only thick custard that can keep him alert. It is only cold custard that makes him feel merry. No, he will not eat chocolate nor some lone loganberry. Colin's a spider who's fond of his grub, but he won't eat takeaway nor have food down the pub. No, he won't sit and blab. No, he won't look disgusted. He'll just pour from the fridge a large bowl of cold custard. He will not eat worms. He can't stomach elastic. If he chewed on a shoe, things would be a tad drastic. Neither toad in the hole nor Tabasco are favoured. It's no to corn on the cob and food synthetically flavoured. It is only cold custard that makes his day better. He avoids every cheese, yes, especially feta. Colin's a spider who's fast and he's greedy. His 8 tiny legs, oh so hairy, so speedy. But he doesn't act needy, he can always be trusted, because what is good for his soul is a bowl of cold custard. He will not eat sweets, he won't choke down eclairs, he will not eat cherries in bunches nor pears. There is no way on God's earth that he gobble mince pies, and he's not one of those spiders that would ever eat flies. It is only cold custard that he'll gulp back in haste. 'Cause Colin's a spider with quite particular tastes. I'm sure I've read that one to you many times on this show, but not for a while, I hope. Let me see. Black-Eyed Growl is from Rhymes, Bears, Steel Pies 4 from 2007. Colin the Custard-Eating Spider is from The Shy Life. And Why Don't Dragons Clean Their Teeth? That's from Shy Yeti's Incredible Pie Crust Collection from 2008. I may have one more for you after the theme music. I think that's from If Poems Were Pies from 2009. Anyway. So, Jay, what did you make of the spider poem? Where's he gone? Jay's vanished. What was he doing? I mean, it's quite weird that he was here anyway. It's kind of weird that he was here because, Jay lives in America. And I did think when I walked in before recording, hey, that's a bit weird, that Jay the Horncub's sitting in one corner of my room, aside from him counting things. Was he counting ghosts? Was he counting sweeties? Was he dialing in to the local Chinese restaurant? I mean, but how was he even here? Why was he here? He wasn't here. I've either imagined it or it's some sort of poltergeist activity. It must be to do with former members of Lotzel or something. I should have asked Toby about it when I spoke to him. Well, how strange. He's definitely gone. Maybe it can't be a ghost. Can you get a ghost of someone who's still alive? Maybe. Quite possibly. Well, it's spookier than I ever thought this episode. You never imagined it, did you? Now the phone's ringing. Sorry, I was about to say goodbye, but sorry. It's Yeti Uncle John, so we ought to speak to him. Yeti Uncle John, you nearly missed the Halloween episode. I'm very sorry, Paul. I'm very sorry. How is it going? It's not been too bad. We had some poems. We talked to my mum. We talked to Toby Smelly. There was some... did I say there were some poems? Yes, well, it can't all be good, can it, Paul? Thank you very much. We had a spooky Sutton Park clip, and we also had a strange manifestation of Jay the Haunt Cub that appeared in one corner of the room. Oh, like most Halloween episodes then. Like most Halloween episodes, yeah, kind of. It's all gone so quickly. I heard about the others. You sent them to a cold, wet churchyard. I did, yes. Well, you know, I have my leg problems. I can't be going around tramping about in muddy fields and things. Oh, well, they were moaning about it. I know they were. They didn't do very well, really. Oh, no, it was actually quite funny, Paul, for what I heard. I mean, at least we're both in the dry. Well, yes, I do hear that Shame Jail is at least warm and dry. It is, Paul, it is. And I want to assure you I've been very busy. I've not done anything bad since I got back. Oh, yes, since you got back from escaping from Shame Jail, you are so lucky that you didn't get an extension to your sentence. Oh, that would be very spooky. It would just be annoying. Are there any ghosts in Shame Jail? I've not met any ghosts, although when it comes to the flavour of the food, it's just a dim, distant memory, like the ghost of a, you know, like when you have fish and chips, it's more like eating the ghost of a fish and chips, or, you know, have a nice steak kidney pie. It's more like the ghost of a steak kidney pie as far as flavour is concerned. Oh, okay. Is it right? But no ghosts walking the halls at night. No. And no Halloween celebrations. I think we're all going to watch a scary film later. Well, that's good. Yes, I watch scary films all year round, as you well know. So, yeah. So I expect I will be watching something scary, but anyway. I better let you go. Yes, I better go. Yes. Well, happy Halloween, listeners, and I promise I'll be there in person soon. Good, that's good. Bye then, Yeti Uncle John. Bye then. Bye. That's weird. I don't. It was like he wanted to try and say something, but he didn't quite know what to say. Yeah. I thought he was going to make up some ghostly encounter in Shame Jail, but anyway, that is all we've got time for. So yeah, thanks to all my guests, thanks to Toppy, thanks to my mum, thanks to the regulars, thanks to anybody who featured in that Sutton Park clip, and yeah, I hope you have a very happy Halloween, or a very spooky Halloween, whichever one you like, whichever one you request, whichever one you require. And we will see you again soon. Plenty of episodes in the can. And it's getting ever closer to a very special person who's having a birthday. Yes. Obviously, there's me. But, Ick. Yeah. Now, we are hoping to be going away around the time of my birthday, Ick's birthday. Although, obviously, Ick being heavily pregnant, I don't know how far he wants to go. And, everything's sort of going reasonably okay, pandemic-wise, in the UK. At least we are able to get out. So unlike last year where we couldn't go away, this year there might be some chance, but who knows? Who knows what might turn up to scupper the plans. But we'll see how it goes. And anyway, yes, right, that's it. Bye for now. Okay. Oh, have a very spooky Halloween. Spooky Halloween. Spooky Halloween. Spooky Halloween. Well, Paul, I'm so sorry. It did not go quite as we planned. It's fine. I mean, I just sent you out into a spooky graveyard. That's all that we need to do. I mean, just because there wasn't that much out there that was spooky.
We did try our best, Paul.
I know. I think, yeah, you did very well.
Thanks, Paul.
It's just, this is the trouble. Sometimes we see ghosts, sometimes we don't see ghosts. And, yeah. I mean, when I was talking to my mum, I didn't want to let on that how much we have hung out with ghosts over the years, because ultimately, it's difficult to believe in these things sometimes. Yes, Paul, I know. Well, believing in things and fact and fiction and whether or not you should or shouldn't, or whether you believe in just bits of it or some of it, or well, it's a difficult thing, Paul. It is. I heard from your Uncle John, by the way. Is he having a good Halloween? Kind of. He almost seemed disappointed when I asked him if they had ghosts in Shame Jail.
Oh, do they?
Nope, not a single ghost, but they're going to watch a scary film.
Well, that's something, isn't it?
And have you heard from Ick? Is he doing okay? I was talking about the birthday trip in a week or so.
Oh, yes. No, he's resting up. But, Halloween's a funny time for him.
Yes. He lives it 24/7. Just being on Earth, seeing all us horrible, bizarre-looking humans. It's scary enough for him. I guess so. Yes, I guess so. Well, thanks you two for doing your best. Anyway,
it's fine, Paul. No problem at all.
Oh, I can hear the theme music. Better go. Yes, Paul. Yes. Well done on your Halloween episode. Thank you. You heard about the mystery about Jay the Horn Cub? Well, yes, Paul. Most bizarre. Very weird. Anyway, bye for now. Goodbye, Paul. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye, Paul.
I gotta go now. Bye. Gotta go. Bye.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
One last poem. It's not particularly scary, but I like it. And it's about mice tap dancing. I think if you saw a mouse tap dancing, you would be at least slightly scared, stroke bemused. So yes, mice tap dancing. There are many sounds that are hard to bear, the thud of furry paws upon a creaking stair, the booming echo of rhino skipping, chalk's blackboard squeak, a drag queen tripping, the din of drakes off to a wedding, the creeping itch of measles spreading, but worse still than that, a din quite entrancing, the rat-tat-tat of mice tap dancing. It's a noise that gets lost in your head, a sound that simply can't be shed. Less tuneful than a walrus singing, more annoying than a cold caller ringing, more ghastly than the ghost of mother, or the BO of a teenage brother. It shakes the ground more than girl guides prancing. Oh, the rumbling cacophony of mice tap dancing. There are many sounds which drive you frantic. The groan of pleasure when it's tantric. The sound of folk unkindly mocking. Of OAP's knees gently knocking. The shudder of a mammoth jogging. The squelch of lips so rudely snogging. But more hellish still with a blow that's glancing. The plod, plod, plod of mice tap dancing. It's not a noise you'll grow to like the squeak, squeak, squeak of a rusty bike, like a milkman's whistle or a cat's late-night howl. Mice tap dancing sounds are always foul. It's the thump, thump, thump and the dozy-do, But I have a cure, you'll be glad to know. But it's not to kill them, so put away your clippers. The only thing tap dancing mice require is comfy slippers. There you go. Bye for now.
The best part of the Shy Life podcast is when it ends.
Hello, this is me. It's the alien. Just wanted to say hi. Oh gosh, I hope you had a happy Halloween. I'm sorry I couldn't be there this episode. Oh gosh, it's all quite disturbing. Oh, and I'm just keeping my feet up at the moment. But I hope you had a lovely time, and I'll be back soon. Yes, take care. I love you all. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
I don't care what he says. Comedy is evil. He's a villain. No, mark my words.
Well, perhaps that old growl's not so bad after all.
I've heard that Paul's extremely nimble. 480, 480, 480, 480.
Halloween episode? What Halloween episode? Wait a minute. Did I miss a Halloween episode? That's very unlike me.